I got a question on YouTube about technique. I don't normally get a lot of questions. Well, I get a lot of questions about custom hatbands. Yes, I can do anything. Even if you want a hatband that's covered in bananas, I can totally do that. But I thought I would take the time to talk a little bit in case anybody else was wondering how I do the endings on my hatbands. So when I cut my warp threads, I leave 10 extra inches on both ends, so there's a lot of excess thread, and then I use the excess thread to build the endings. And so for the ending on this one, I'm just gonna go back to the top. So before I make the ending, I draw a little pattern on the pattern. It's a pattern within a pattern, if you will, just so that I know what I'm gonna be doing. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be building up these sides with a ladder stitch and then connecting the middle part with a peyote stitch type technique. And I'll show you how I do that. Since this is 11 beads wide, I've got 12 threads here, because when you do looming, you always have one extra thread more than you have beads, because you're making like a thread sandwich or like a waffle type pattern, if you will, if you're hungry and you like food analogies like I do. So this part is going to be empty, and I'm going to use it for the ties. I'm going to use this ivory color tie, really beautiful, matches perfectly. And so then what I do is I start from the center, grab a thread, and I take my beads, put them on there, and then for this first rung of the ladder stitch, you weave it back into the beads that are on the loomed part, and then you go back through, and this is the first rung of the ladder basically, and then you build up on that. So we got our first one done. This is really a slow process, and you know, it takes a long time, and I know I do most of my videos and time lapse because it's really cool to see them come to life, because it's hard to see the progress when you're moving the slow in real life, but I feel like it's worth it. You know, once you take it off the loom and you look at it and you're just like, whoa, look what I made. So now we've got the second rung of our ladder stitch, and continuing up. I've never really filmed this before because it's a lot of like pinching and my hands are in the way, so it's really hard to see. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So that's the third rung of our ladder. And I'm pulling this really tightly so there's no gapping or any loose threads or anything. Tension is really important when you're looming. You want to keep it all in even tension. And this is the fourth row in the ladder. So now that I've done that one, I'm gonna go back through it. And now you've got like this little ladder stitch that's coming out. And I'm just gonna weave my thread back down into the hatband. And I'm gonna go all the way back to like an inch. And doing this, weaving these warp threads back into it, really makes like a sturdy ending and kind of stiff. And there are so many ways that you can end your things. You can attach it to a piece of leather. You can do all kinds of things. This is how I like to do it because I like to extend the pattern. And also I like to use these ties so you can, you know, take it off and put it on any hat. But if you wanted to, you could extend this pattern all the way around and sew it together and just sew it onto a hat. Whatever, you know, anybody wants to do, that's how you can do it. But I like doing it this way. I find it's really sturdy, and being able to move it from hat to hat, I think is something, you know, is cool to do. Depending, you can change your hatband depending on your mood. Anyway, so I just go all the way back, approximately about an inch. So, okay, stop there and move on to the next one. So my ladders are built, and now all I have to do is connect them, which I'm just gonna make a bridge across these two, and then I'm gonna use a peyote type technique to bring them together and make them more sturdy. So now I've got the bridge across made, and then I'm gonna do a peyote stitch type technique to bring these together even more. These two rows that I made, they're not connected, so I'm gonna go in one, go down one, and then back in, and then I'm gonna do it opposite so that they're really cinched together tight. So I've got my basic form of the ending done, and then I'm just going to weave back in all these warp threads, continuing to strengthen this ending piece. I feel like before you go back and reinforce it, these beads kind of wiggle around a lot. So I like to do a lot of reinforcing and a lot of finishing work. But I hope this was helpful. The question was from Tamara. So Tamara, I hope you found this informative, and once you get back to beading, I hope this helps you finish your projects.